Okay, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're moving on to our second finalist this evening, Captain Debashis Basu from India. Captain Basu is from Navguide Solutions. They utilize technology to significantly enhance vessel performance and inspections through skills development and patented micro-learning tools. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. I'm the founder of Navguide Solutions. Now, 20 years back, I joined my first ship as a third officer. Now, I was on deck inspecting the 4 monitors. I did my best. The chief officer did not cross-check, only to find out in front of a port state inspector a couple of days later that one of the isolation valves was not working. That ship, under full charter, got detained. And I realized that I did not understand what good looks like. See, performance gaps exist, and they can be very, very expensive. We are not just talking about detentions and claims here. With the right ship and the SIRE 2.0 regimes getting stronger and stricter, more focused on compliance, a vessel owner with a fleet of ships that is unprepared stands to lose millions of dollars in terms of lost opportunities, charter hire, and commercial contracts. Now, after having spoken to over 300 operators, it turns out we have given the seafarer one of 3 tools to perform on board. There is an over-reliance on checklists and written instructions, which may be misinterpreted. There's a dependence on onboard mentorship, expecting that the senior will teach the junior. Now, when this happens, this is the best way to learn your job, hands down. We have all learned from our seniors, but it may not always happen. And classroom training, which typically has a retention of less than 10% across the board. So we wanted to solve this, and what we wanted to do is, we wanted to visualize and gamify instructions, break it down into bite-sized modules, and most importantly, give it to the seafarer at a time when it is needed. A kind of just-in-time mentorship, which would maintain the vessel's charter ready at all times, compliant at all times. I'm very proud to announce Guide to Inspections. Guide to Inspections is a class-approved app, the only app of its kind which combines inspection and guidance tools in the same platform. So we've taken over 2.5 years of work to build this app, and what it does is, in a sense, it gives a tool to the seafarer to inspect the vessel or their respective areas at the level of an inspector. So here's what it does. As you can see, the vessel is divided into multiple areas and sections. You could go into any of the areas. You can carry out an inspection, self-inspect your own areas, put your comments, put an evidence photograph, and send it back to the office. But most interestingly, when you have a doubt, the app also doubles up as a mentor, using thousands of photographs that are embedded for each check, using notes that were created by senior auditors to make things simpler, and a video that actually takes you into a ship, giving you a live round of the vessel. So all the reports that are collected through this app comes back to an analytical dashboard in the office, which then can be trended and analyzed in the office, and it works offline. Well, the value proposition is we are talking about organically upskilling the seafarers, giving them a mentorship tool in their hands. We're talking about giving a central inspection management system to the companies and keeping the vessel's charter ready at all times for right ship inspections, SIRE, AMSA, US Coast Guard, internal, external audits, and so on. Think of this app as a super smart, super energetic training superintendent that you have placed on board every ship all the time, 24/7. We are creating a new category. For the first time, we are talking about connecting competency management to a measurable outcome. We're talking about a dynamic style of mentorship. We are bringing the classroom into the field. We have active engagement. Users like MOL, K-Line, Swire Group that are already using this system. We have a steady year-on-year growth, multiple trials going on from customers, and active interest from some of the biggest names in the industry. We have also been recognized by international bodies like BIMCO, Intertanko, to present the concept of onboard mentorship in this manner. Now, the team, I must tell you, we are a very core marine team, this is not a technology company trying to enter the maritime space. We actually understand the problem we are solving. We have lived and breathed that problem. I am very proud to say Captain Sartaj Gill is here with me, our chief strategist. He has been the global compliance head for two of the biggest companies in the world, V Group and OSM Thome. Also supported by a very strong advisory board of industry stalwarts, some of whom have held major roles in the IMO, in P&I clubs, and OCIMF. Now, what are we all excited about? We were working with a ship in Rotterdam where the vessel master had confirmed that everything is fine on board. The third officer who was using our systems found out that there was a crack in the rescue boat where you tighten up the lashings. It's a very common area to have a crack. Now, identifying this saved that ship a detention which would have caused over $80,000 in charter loss. And we could actually establish that we have implemented a proactive, risk-based culture on board. Our business model is a B2B SaaS freemium model. There's a free version of this app that you can download right now. And it's a very, very sticky model. We own 100% of the IPR. We have over 1,500 downloads with a 4.6-star rating. The company is currently bootstrapped, and we are looking at accelerating this growth multifold by an investment that we are asking for $1 million, diluting 12.5% at an $8 million valuation. Besides this, we want every company in the world to use our app, every ship. The entry barriers is really low. As I said, in the next half an hour, you can install it from the Android App Store or Play Store, check it out for yourself, and implement on board your vessels. So the vision that we are aiming for is, how would the world look like if every seafarer was brought into the mindset of an inspector? Thank you.
Captain Basu, thank you very much. Captains, over to you, please.
Hi, Basu. I'm Shah. Thanks very much for the presentation. Very engaging. So you mentioned in your pitch that current classroom retention is around 10%. So how are you measuring how your app is better? Like, specifically, how are you measuring that?
So we are not talking about classroom training at all. We are saying that, let's say, if there's a second mate on the ship, we are saying, forget training, just go do your job. The app is actually an inspection app that will help you do your job, moving through the bridge and actively, maintaining the bridge the way it should look like. But while you're doing your job, if you need mentoring, we mentor you on site. This aligns with the Gen Z way of thinking, because our ability to remember now is coming down because we have information on our fingertips everywhere. In the shipping industry, we have created that system which could mentor the people on site. So we are not depending on the classroom training, quote unquote.
No, sorry, I understand that, but I was just trying to understand, how do you make sure that if someone's learned one of your videos, then how do they retain that? Because that's what you're saying, that this micro-learning is more effective at being able to be remembered. So how do you measure that?
First, it's visual, and the feedback that comes back constantly, because we have active users now, we have feedbacks coming in from active users. So the feedback comes in like, for example, a second engineer, before he goes down to the engine room, he takes a look at a video. Now, typically, any checklist has less than 10, very, very low retention. So basically, when you watch a video, you can remember a lot more of that. Now, when you get a tool that actually helps you take the feedback from how the vessel is maintained, that's how we get the results back from the vessel, and we can substantiate that the person is performing on board.
Thank you. Very, very engaging presentation. For doing inspections, and particularly PSC preparation, for instance, every owner uses different checklists. Today we have a Hong Kong Marine Department checklist which we fill up, and several of our own checks. And just doing the inspection as per the checklist takes at least 3 to 4 days if it is done religiously. Now, if at every item the person has to watch even a 2 to 3 minute video, that time will get increased fabulously.
Yeah. So every item does not have to be, so we have created these videos combining checks and systemizing, let's say, if I were to give you a checklist on inspecting a lifeboat, it would typically have, let's say, 55 points. You could look at it and say that this will take me the whole day. But what happens with a 5-minute video if I combine all that points, systematically arranging that as you go up on the lifeboat, you check these and then you check this. What happens in the end, it actually reduces the time that the person takes on site. And this is not to say that every single point has a video. We are supporting every question with a photograph, but let's say 50 or 60 points are combined into one video. So we have about 72 videos in the app that is covering in 3 to 4 minutes, different sections of the ship. And the people do not have to watch the videos every time. They can always go and use this as an inspection app. They have watched the videos once or twice before, they probably remember it, and now the app works like an inspection app for the seafarers. That's how it is.
Thank you for a very good presentation. I really enjoyed that. This question is a similar question to the ones that you've just been asked, but it's slightly different in terms of its nuance. And there's an expression which is, show me and I will remember. Involve me and I will deliver. How do you deal with the second part of that?
Thank you for that question. So in a lot of cases, what is happening is the mentorship. So just to clarify, there has been over 100 years of inspection experience in terms of the subject matter experts that have worked to create these videos. Okay? So typically, these videos are created at a higher level at which a ship staff would mentor their juniors. A much, much higher level. In fact, we are talking about the expertise level of a senior inspector who would come and inspect the vessel, right? That's how we are saying. So what happens is, in a lot of cases, these videos are being used by the seniors on board to actually mentor their juniors, and nobody is expecting that you watch a video and then you're an expert. You actually have to go do the job. Like say, if it's a pilot ladder video, you have to actually rig the pilot ladder to understand and get the feel of it. The videos support the actual mentorship that may or may not happen on the ship, and it sort of gives you that tool in your hand. Now, how you use it, many companies are using it as toolbox meetings, for example. Before you go do the job, watch this 3-minute or 4-minute video. There are multiple use cases. Companies are putting this in their PMS systems. You have a checklist in the PMS, and then you have a click to watch video, which sort of visualizes that checklist. So multiple use cases for this approach. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Can I ask, how do you maintain your competitive edge? I mean, you talk about just using readily available apps. So, how do you stop a competitor coming in and doing exactly the same thing, or creating a more bespoke product, handheld device,
right,
which would quickly supersede something that's already just,
the defensibility,
yeah.
Yes. So, couple of things that we have done. First of all, why did it take us 2.5 years? We divided the vessel into these 16 areas, worked with subject matter experts to dissect and make it very, very granular, understanding each and every regulation, not the broad level understanding, but break it down into simple. So the first entry barrier, I would say that the research and the database we have, which is backing this app up, it's not a simple checklist. It's very, very elaborate. And based on that, these videos that we have created, I'm not saying nobody else can do this. Of course, it can be done, but what we are ahead of in time is because the videos have come in almost 3 years back in the industry. They are being used by multiple companies, and we have got phenomenal amount of feedback. So this is the 9th or 10th version that you would see now. Now, any company who starts today would take some sufficient amount of time to get that kind of a version, which is... So again, another thing is that maybe a year or two later, when we have substantial user base, our data becomes defensible. That's what we are looking at.
We have time for one final question.
Okay, thank you. Debash, great presentation. How do you know the owner-manager knows that the various inspection modules, such as SIRE, RightShip, PSC, are the latest module? So how do you know whether they're the latest module from the inspections?
All right, so we are constantly updating this. We are in a very, very tough space. This question which you asked will be asked by every company, every manager, because they are trusting our expertise on this. So we have team, a marine team, that is constantly iterating and updating. Not the videos get updated regularly, but the checklists and the rest of the content of the app is up to date with any changes. In fact, right now we are updating it with the RISQ3, which came in just a few months back. So yes, it is, but also there's a lot of feedback that comes from the ships, that comes from the superintendents, which we factor in when we are updating our next database. So we keep them updated if that's what you're asking. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It's just more that the onus is on you to see that it's updated. Otherwise, you'll be giving incorrect modules. So it's just more on what process do you follow with the modules to see that they are the latest.
Yeah, so that is where, I mean, the NKK class approval also was part of the question, and during the class approval asked us this question. So we have an internal marine team, people that have been into inspection space that's doing this updation on a regular basis. Beyond that, every time we get a feedback from the company, we're factoring that in. So that's our present way to keep this up to date all the time. And this anyways does not take away the onus on the ship staff to do their jobs or their professional expertise. We will, it's always going to be very, very important. It's a support system that it breaks it down. And
thank you.
And one of the things that we are all, doing very organically is reducing the workload on the senior management. A couple of days back, a second officer carried out a bridge audit, which brought out 10 deficiencies. 2 of them detainable deficiencies from a vessel which was very, very well maintained and owned by one of the best operators in the world. And this is not to, it's just to say that we are empowering the juniors, which is organically answering the question of human factor, which is today a very, very big factor in terms of RightShip or SIRE inspections. After having carried out this inspection, that second officer has seen the bridge in ways that an inspector will not see. So basically, to ask him a question or when you're, checking his knowledge, he will be much more knowledgeable, and the vessels are upgrading themselves. This is just to show you a heat map of what you get on the shore side. Sorry.
Captain Basu, thank you very much.
My question to Captain Biswas on your inspection report. Actually, 2 questions, 2 quick questions.
Yeah.
Does the report in the end have a grading system? Will it grade that how well was the vessel inspected? And secondly, does it, of course, it gives the condition from what I can understand, but does it also give a defect list of what needs to be followed up? Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that question. To both of your questions, it's a yes. So each question in this database we have ranked in terms of their risk capacity. So based on the risk capacity, the vessels would get a score, which does not depend on, you might have 15 observations of low risk, and then another vessel could have 1 high-risk observation and get a lower score, a detainable deficiency, for example. So that's how we are rating the questions, getting the rank. And what's the second question again? Sorry.
And do you have a defect list which it can churn out also?
Yes. So there are 3 kinds of reports that the app generates. 1, the full observation reports with all photographs, every question that is being checked. Second is a defect report, which is only the questions that were, so the questions were framed in a way that every no, when you answer a no, it automatically records that as a defect. The questions were rephrased that way. So all the no questions, all defects are collected together, and that's your defect report that has to be followed up. And yeah. And the third one, by the way, is a date report. There's a date picker report. So a couple of things. Fantastic people that we've been with for the last few days, and it was fascinating to learn so much of innovation and different kind of thinking is coming into an industry which has traditionally followed legacy systems for a long time. Also, it was an incredible journey working with Tabitha, with Suvin, with Vedika, with Chris. I've been doing presentations for a while now, more than 300-400 presentations I must have done. But the way to make it very, very hard-hitting, I think even my presentation has changed and evolved a lot over the last few days. So that's an incredible learning.
Thank you, everyone, and congratulations to all the startups. Thank you.